not exactly come as a surprise that the EX model of the Kia Sorento is the best value trim for your money. Seeing how Kia has labeled their trim levels in the past, EX is almost always our volume seller. And Tim, this is such a great seller that you even bought one yourself.
I didn't buy it.
Your wife bought it.
Kim bought it. Yeah.
Nonetheless, she bought the exact same vehicle in the same color. So if it's good enough for Kim and it's good enough for Tim, you guys probably gonna love it. Today's video, we're doing a full in-depth walkthrough of both the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, the technology, and of course the comfort of the 2025 Kia Sorento EX in wolf gray. Now, today I also have Tim with me. He's gonna man the camera. Don't worry, he won't talk too much. Just kidding. We'll ask him some questions too, getting an ownership perspective of this vehicle as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Shall we get into it, Tim?
Let's go.
All right, so I'll flip the camera for you. And I'll first start off with the price point of this vehicle. So this is one trim level up from the entry trim on the Kia Sorento. It's priced at $42,995 Canadian, which puts it at about a $4,000 price increase from the LX model below it. And while that may seem like a pretty big price jump, and it is, that still gives this vehicle incredible value because of what's actually under the hood and what you get inside the car. Before we talk about that though, let's look at the front end. So in 2024, the gasoline models of the Kia Sorento got a beautiful product refresh. That added a brand new look to our exterior headlamps and taillights. So we'll take a look at the front first. You'll notice the daytime running light is now amber and it's very bold, expanding very much across the front hood line and downwards as well. Your main headlamp unit will be a projector style LED on the EX model. That's where it's going to start, but you do even get LEDs on the introductory trim. So beautiful, bright, sharp headlamps with integrated intelligent high beam assist. So there's a lot of technology on this vehicle, even though the exterior may not look like there's too much going on. We'll also talk about the design of the front grille. So the grille itself is made up of a beautiful piano black finish, so nice glossy look, and you do have a bit of satin chrome surrounding it. So the housing has a bit of lightness to match with that dark, or give some nice contrast at least. The exterior paint, like I said, is called wolf gray. This is definitely a newer paint color for the Kia lineup. I think it looks fantastic and matches the dark elements and the light elements beautifully. Tim, why'd you pick wolf gray?
It just looks different. Like it's better. It's on the highway. Some people say it's primer color.
Yeah.
But
it stands out.
And actually stays a little bit cleaner in the wintertime too.
One thing I will say about this paint color too, it's suited for sporty vehicles, and you might see an SUV and think, what's so sporty about that? I challenge you to drive the turbocharged model of the Kia Sorento. It is very peppy. We'll talk about the powertrain in just a few minutes. We also have this addition of a nice gloss black front bumper, and integrated into the bumper, you'll notice some circular ultrasonic parking sensors. So those parking sensors will of course give you an audible alert inside the cabin when you approach something too quickly or too closely in the front end. So if I'm pulling up this vehicle into a garage and I'm losing space, my vehicle will alert me to make sure I'm not hitting this beautiful front end. For your skid plate, it's again going to be that satin material that we see up in the grille with a little bit of black on the bottom. So black plastic with a nice satin lip. You do have a forward-facing radar plate right over here. This radar plate is going to be utilized for the smart cruise control in this vehicle. So if you haven't used smart cruise control before, it sounds pretty scary at first. Essentially, you turn it on the same way you would a regular cruise control, except it's going to monitor the distance of the vehicle ahead of you and adjust your vehicle speed as needed. So if you hit stop and go traffic, don't worry, the car will handle it for you, take care of it, and make sure you're still at a safe following distance all the way up to a complete stop. And then when you get to a complete stop, it'll take you right back up to speed again once things start moving. All right, now it's powertrain time. I'm gonna pop the hood and we can talk about this turbocharged engine. I'm gonna get very excited because this is by far my favorite powertrain that Kia has introduced. We've had it in quite a few of our models. So the Kia Sorento gets it, the Hyundai Santa Fe gets it, even my beloved Kia K5 GT gets it. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, gasoline direct injection. Let me lift this. There we go, gasoline direct injection, and it supplies you with 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Those are really healthy numbers. Now, if you're comparing this model to the LX model below it, the powertrain is by far the biggest difference in my opinion. The naturally aspirated 2.5 liter that you'll get on the LX only supplies 187 horsepower with 178 pound-feet of torque. So that is a very, very big horsepower and torque difference between the two models. You may think with such a power increase comes a fuel economy reduction, and that's not exactly the case. This vehicle is still very, very efficient, both highway and city driving, with an average rating of 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers combined. That's pretty impressive. Tim, what do you think?
It's great on fuel.
And Tim's got a heavy foot.
No, Kim drives mostly highway from the house to the store, so she gets really good gas mileage. Really comparable to the Telluride on the highway as well. So
Better than the Telluride.
Telluride, yeah.
Better than the Telluride for sure.
Yeah.
Now, in Canada, we only get all-wheel drive available for our Kia Sorentos. I know in the States, you guys get the option to add it on or not. But with our all-wheel drive system, it does have a front-wheel drive bias. So that means if it's regular conditions, nice sunny day, the pavement's dry, you're only really utilizing mostly front-wheel drive unless you're launching it from a standstill or turn off into a gravel road. That's great for fuel efficiency because all-wheel drive costs more to fuel. When it comes to our wheels, you get these beautiful 20-inch alloys. These are exclusive to the EX trim level, so no other trim has this design. And the best part is it's machined finished, so it does have a mix of that dark to match the light and that light to match the dark. It's not a complete gloss black wheel. It'll look a bit cleaner and it brightens up the mood of the vehicle. For your tire, you get a regular all-season tire just to match your all-wheel drive. Now this vehicle also has some dedicated drive and terrain modes, so if you switch it into sport mode, it will give you a bit of a feeling of more power on the vehicle. Now it certainly doesn't add horsepower, it's just going to make your throttle response a bit more sensitive and stiffen up your steering. Great for someone who appreciates the thrill of a sporty ride. However, it will sacrifice a bit of fuel economy. On the opposite side, there is also a smart mode on this vehicle, so that will adapt based off how you're driving to give you the best efficiency and performance for whatever kind of driving you're doing. And your terrain modes will adjust between snow, mud, and sand to split up that torque distribution based off whatever kind of conditions you are driving in. So the vehicle is very, very user configurable, very driver focused. Now for the fender flares, I guess. We'll take a look over here. Only the LX and EX models have this nice satin and chrome mix. All the models above will translate that into black finishes instead. However, with any vehicle, you can adjust this. If you want it to be dark, let's get a wrap it up. All right, and then right over here, we have a mix of body color and gloss black with a turn signal indicator on the mirror. The mirror is not power folding on this model, but it is power adjustable and heated. You do get blind spot detection on the mirror portion. So Tim, do you want to show the mirror? The mirror portion of the mirror?
The mirror portion of the mirror. You can see the blind spot detection there. So that goes yellow when you're getting close and someone goes past you.
It goes red.
But I thought it went yellow as well.
It goes red.
Okay, that's even better.
Something new. All right, so yes, that indicator will turn red if there's a vehicle in your blind spot, whether it's left or right, even if you're not indicating a turn. However, if you are indicating a lane change, the vehicle will beep inside if there is a car there, just to warn you, give you an extra precaution that there is a vehicle there. And if you still try to change lanes, it will give you some gentle steering assistance to avoid a side collision. So it's a smart car. For our door handles, we do have proximity entry. This is by far one of my favorite things, and I miss it so much, I don't have it anymore. As long as the key is either in your pocket, in your hand, or just really somewhere on you, you can walk up to your car, press this button to unlock it for you, press it again once you're done driving to lock it. So you never actually have to grab your keys and find the unlock button. It's just so simple and so nice to have. Up at the top, you have a regular flush style roof rail. Same exact body or color, I guess, as what we have for the rest of the styling on the vehicle. So everything's cohesive. We'll see a lot of dark accents, but also a lot of light, but it's always utilizing that same finish, so it just makes sense and matches. The pillars of your windows are gloss black, and then you can see up at the top we have more of that chrome, and that also cycles downwards towards the belt line of your vehicle. All right, so Tim's getting a little too close. Now that we're approaching the rear end of the vehicle, I'll mention the rear suspension. So it's a multi-link rear suspension, makes it great for handling. And then here is another great element on this vehicle that makes it probably the best bang for your buck in my opinion. On this trim level, you'll also be introduced to, it's always down here, I always forget, our Smart Power Liftgate. So the Smart Power Liftgate actually has a couple different functions. Of course, it automatically opens, depending on if you press the button or press your key fob, but you can also have it function in a proximity sense. So you simply walk up to the back end of your vehicle, stand here for 3 seconds, and as long as the key is on you, this will open automatically, so you don't have to put your stuff down or risk losing your balance by kicking underneath the bumper. It'll power open. Back here, you'll see your third row. So we have 2 seats in the very rear. This trim level is your introductory trim to 6 seats. So you'll notice 6 over here, 6 in the very middle, and then of course 6 at the front. To knock them down, it's very, very easy because Kia does integrate these tethers. So you give it a pull, it'll knock your headrest down and allow the seat to move forward and then completely flat. Now with your third row seats down, we have over 1,200 liters of space over here. What does that even look like? I say liters, picturing that is hard. but you can see there's a ton of usable space and very easy to configure. When you do have the seats up, you are quite limited. So it's just over 300 liters. You can make it work though, right, Tim? On top of that, this vehicle does have a great towing capacity, so 2,000 pounds of towing capacity, and it only goes up from this trim level with the X line bouncing that up to 3,500 pounds. So the Sorento is a very, very capable vehicle. I'll knock the other seat down just for visual purposes for you guys, and then of course when we hop inside, I'll hop into the third row so you can see what it looks like with someone sitting back there. You'll notice on the sides that we do have USB-Cs. There's also cup holders and some storage space, and that's repeated on the right-hand side, except the right-hand side also integrates a button to power fold your second row seats. And I shouldn't have said powered, it's just to knock them down. To bring them back up, you will have to go around to the sides and move them yourself, but it's very nice to have all these controls from the rear end, so if you are loading stuff into your car, forget to knock those down in advance, you can do it all from here, not risk bumping your doors to the cars parked next to you. All right, a couple more things I'll point out, before I close that. Underneath the floorboard, you'll have your kit for your spare, so your scissor jack. And then the spare tire itself is actually located underneath the vehicle. So Tim, I don't know if you want to try showing that. No, believe us, it is there. It's just a compact spare. This vehicle also gives you 5 years unlimited kilometers of roadside assistance all throughout North America. And while we're on the topic of the back end still, I will point out the rear bumper. So the bumper is just a nice flat black. And you'll notice that we have repeated parking sensors along the rear end. So not only do we have them in the front, we have them in the back. Any sort of low speed maneuver, whether it's parallel parking or just finding a spot at the mall, you'll be able to and have that audible warning if you're getting too close. Your tail lamps are slightly changed for this model year. So we do have a connection between the two lights here. In the past model of the Kia Sorento, there was a split in between. I always point this out. Doesn't make that big of a difference, but it just looks good and still has that true Sorento styling. Your badge is going to be on the left-hand side for Sorento, and then on the right-hand side, you will see our 4X badge, indicating that this model has all-wheel drive. The rear wiper is hidden under the spoiler, which is a nice, neat way to not only clean up the look of the back end of your vehicle, but also protect your rear wiper from snow and ice. So you're never going to have to peel ice off of that wiper, I'll tell you that. And while we come to this side, the driver's side, we have our fuel door. Now the fuel door is push style, so as long as the car's unlocked, you just push it open, it'll open for you. Regular unleaded gas is all you need for this vehicle, and it's a 67-liter tank, so not too expensive to fill. Tim, have you filled gas in your wife's car? How much did it cost you?
Normally, at the price it is today, about $85 to $90.
Okay, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
And she gets good gas mileage.
Yeah, so depending on how you drive, you can definitely extend that a bit more too. If you're heavy on the throttle, maybe not so much, but this vehicle is very forgiving for whatever kind of driving you're doing. Now I will open up the door and just have Tim show the door real quick. We do have our mirror adjustments. Like I said, they are power adjustable mirrors and they are heated, and you get an express window for the driver. The rest of the windows are just regular style powered, of course, and you do have a button on the side over here as well to trigger both the child lock and the window lock. As far as your door handles go, we got a nice kind of flat style to them, but still very easy to use. I don't like when manufacturers overcomplicate door handles. And then if you couldn't tell already, just by a sneak peek of the interior, we do have leatherette seating on this trim level. So if leatherette is a must-have for you, as well as a smart power liftgate and a fun-to-drive feel, the EX trim is probably the right trim for you. The leatherette definitely is forgiving. It's comfortable, and they are heated seats, so both for the driver and passenger up at the front, you'll get a nice, comfortable seat. The driver also gets a power seat, so you can adjust both the height, the tilt of the seat, as well as your backrest, and two-way lumbar support. Super easy to find a comfortable position. Another thing this trim level is going to introduce to you is a leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is also heated. Heated steering wheel is very nice. When you don't have it, you certainly miss it. So it heats the entirety of the wheel. That means that no matter how you drive, your hands will be nice and toasty. The steering wheel also is equipped with a lot of driver functions and media controls. So on the right-hand side, you'll see your smart cruise control. So you'll turn it on with this button here, set your speed with the plus and minus, and then set the following distance there. Again, very simple in regards to regular cruise control as to how to turn it on. You turn on, set the speed. This is the only different part, and this is very easy to get used to. On the left-hand side, you'll have your lane follow assist button. So lane follow assist is a fantastic function that utilizes the camera located in your windshield This camera watches the road up ahead of you. It senses if there's any upcoming curves or bends in the road, and the vehicle will quite literally steer for you. So it's not steering so much in the event that, let's say there's a garbage can or something on the road that you need to avoid. Me as a driver, I can still give my driver input and the car will listen to me. It's not completely taking over, it's just giving you a gentle guidance and assistance. And if you're not a fan of it, you just press that button to turn it off again. So it's not like you have to dig through menus in your screens to turn off something you don't like. It won't stress you out, but it's always there if you want it. On the left-hand side, you'll find things like the volume control, so for whatever media you're listening to. Increase, decrease, and even if you give it a quick press down, it'll mute it. There's a voice command button. If your phone is connected to this vehicle, you can have it use your Siri or Google Assistant. And then on the bottom, we have our phone button and a favorite button. Kia does a great job with their favorites button because essentially you can program it to do whatever you'd like. We have a lot of customers that want that to be an end call button or maybe a button to quickly jump you to SiriusXM. You can do quite literally whatever you want with it, and that makes it very, very driver focused and super handy. On this vehicle, we have our wiper stock on the right-hand side and lighting stock on the left. I mentioned that we have intelligent high beam assist, and we of course also have regular auto lights, so the vehicle will decipher whether you need your full headlight system on or not. This vehicle has also gone through some major tech upgrades for the 2024 model year, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Number one comes down to the gauge cluster. Now, I'm not too sure if you remember what the 2023 model Sorento's gauge looked like, but this is quite the tech advancement. The screen itself is actually 12.3 inches, and this isn't even our fully digitized model. This is the section that you can actually go through and change. So that's going to be your trip computer, but also your active driver safety functions, and even your drive power distribution and tire pressure monitor. So you can cycle through whatever you like to see best as a driver. Your speedometer and tachometer is always digitized and in clear plain sight, so you can actually see your relevant info while you're driving. Up at the top, you'll see your distance to empty projected for you, so you don't have to cycle through separate menus to find info like that. The left-hand side is where you'll find, again, your fuel meter gauge, and the right side, your temperature. All right, now this screen is what a lot of people want to know about, because Tim, do you know what happened to the Kia Sorento in its current refresh? Well, it got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's a pretty big deal. So in the past, any of our screens that were 10.25 inches or higher, they didn't have wired CarPlay, and you guys did not like that. So we changed that, and now this 12.3-inch display has seamlessly wireless CarPlay and Android Auto on top of FM radio, AM radio, SiriusXM, and so much more. A couple other huge changes have been made, so as you can see, the screen is extremely configurable. So whatever kind of systems you use in your vehicle, you can have it catered towards you. That way everything is right up on the home page for you, and you're never going to have to go through too much work to find what you're looking for. There's also a lot of changes you can make, both driver assistance wise and just system wise. So if there's ever a function you're not a fan of, let's say the smart cruise control, you can adjust it to make it a little bit more you-friendly. So if the acceleration's a bit too dull for you, you can change it to fast or right back to slow. Super configurable, and it is based off your driver profile as well too. So if you are sharing this vehicle, let's say with a spouse, and you have a completely different views of driver assistance functions, adjust it to what you like, and you'll have it ready for you when you hop in the car. Now down below the screen, you'll see your events as well as your hazard button. And then just below that, we have this interesting flippable infotainment and climate control system. So it is a screen, but it does provide haptic feedback. So if you do press something, you'll know it's not silent. You do get a little bit of feel. We have a quick button to jump to our home, map, search, seek and track for your media, and then another favorites button and setup. Each one of these will of course jump you to the correct screen, with the search icon being fantastic for someone who hasn't purchased a new vehicle in a while. If there's something specific you're looking for, let's say maybe date and time, you can search it here and it'll show up and take you to the correct, and it'll take you to the correct, there we go, date and time. I typed the word "and" instead of the actual symbol. You can see here, it'll bring you to the correct media or system that you need to find what you're looking for. Now, if we switch it to climate control, it can do what you'd expect, adjust the climate. So this trim level is your introductory trim to having dual zone climate control. That means I, as a driver, can set my temperature to what I'd like, and my passenger can adjust it to whatever they'd like, or we can sync it all up. You can also adjust the fan speed from here, the fan direction, and of course things like your front and rear defrost, and even our automated climate control function. Below that, you'll notice we have a couple different options for charging, with wireless charging being introduced in this trim level. There's a USB-C right over here that acts as a dual purpose function, so it can do both data transfer and charge, or simply just charge. To the right of that, there's another USB-C simply for charging. And then we've got access to our heated seats. Now your heated seats do 3 different levels for both driver and passenger. Sorry, Tim, I'm constantly flipping between.
That's all right.
And then we have our gear shift. What I love about the Kia Sorento is the fact that yes, it is so much fun to drive, but you also have a gear shift you can hold on to while you're driving. A lot of our cars are getting column mounted gear shifts or shift by wire kind of dial types. So this is nice. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Am I right, Tim?
Absolutely.
There we go. Again, it is, I don't know if I mentioned this, but it is a dual clutch transmission, which operates like an automatic in the sense that you put it in drive, but it does have quite some different characteristics. And I do have a video dropping at 6 p.m. tonight explaining what a dual clutch is if you want to know more. I will link that in the description once this is posted. Below that, we have our drive and terrain mode selector. So this dial allows you to cycle between smart, sport, eco mode, and normal mode. Each one of these will make adjustments to the vehicle. So it will change the shift points of the car. If, let's say, for example, you're in eco mode, it's going to want to shift a little bit quicker just to keep your RPMs down and make sure your vehicle is driving as efficient as possible. Well, in sport mode will allow those revs to go up a little bit higher, giving you a little bit more power and increased response with the, worse fuel efficiency. And then below that, we got our smart mode, which simply just adapts to what you're doing. So if you're driving efficiently 1 minute and then you step on it the next, it will temporarily switch you into sport and then right back to normal, vice versa. We got our button for a heated steering wheel, our auto hold braking system, downhill braking assist, an electronic parking brake, our camera, which you can summon on demand if you are parked. However, every time you throw the vehicle into reverse, oh, there we go.
Saved it.
Do you want me to hold it?
No, we're good.
Okay. I'll hold it for a bit.
Yeah, you got it.
We got a reverse camera here, so every time you throw it into reverse, this comes up automatically, but if you just want to look at it because you're parked, you can also pull it up. And then right above that, we have our parking sensors and our idle stop and go. It's important to have a button for your parking sensors. If you are someone who decides to put a hitch and trailer on this vehicle, it'll freak out at you every single time you throw in reverse because it senses something there. Not when you can turn off the sensors though. All right, here is our center console. Thank you, Tim, for the demonstration. You do have a little storage pocket that you can remove as presented. And that's about it. It is leather topped, so very nice premium feel. And same thing with your gear shift. It's a leather wrapped style gear shift, just like your steering wheel. So yeah. The design is just good. It feels premium in this cabin. The vents have a beautiful design that expands all the way across towards our far vent. And then we have a traditional style glove box with manuals. Tim, what else?
I just like the drive of it. Like you're not giving up anything.
Nope.
in this vehicle, and when you drive it, you're very comfortable, especially with this seating configuration.
Yeah.
And obviously the vegan leather, it's comfortable to drive in the summertime and the wintertime.
Absolutely.
Right?
Now, on the topic of comfort in driving, this vehicle also has Kia Connect, which is Kia's smartphone app, allowing you to start your vehicle. Extremely helpful both in the wintertime and then in the summer because you can pre-warm your heated steering wheel, your cabin, your heated seats. You hop in your car, everything's perfect. Same in the summer because you can turn on your AC and make sure you're not getting into a hot car. It's also helpful because you do get location services. You can see where your vehicle is at, if the doors are locked, if the windows are open, that kind of thing. And it is free for 3 years. You do also have these buttons up at the very top, one for a tow truck and one for SOS. So if you do run into, let's say, a flat tire or any sort of situation, you can call the emergency services, sorry, not the emergency services, the tow truck, Kia Connect, and then we do have emergency services that will be dialed if your vehicle is detected to be in a crash or if you just need them. Another addition to the EX trim level is the fact that we have an ECM mirror with integrated HomeLink. So if HomeLink is a must-have for you, this is the trim level to get. There we are. Hey. All right, now let's take a look at the back seats because there is something special about the seat layout itself. This vehicle is a 6-seater. That means in the very second row, we get beautiful captain's chairs. Now, captain's chairs always kind of give that more premium feel inside the cabin. If you're sitting in these 2 seats, it's quite literally the best seat in the house. You do get nice armrests, and the seats are very, very easy to fold down if you do not want them in use or if you just need to get into the 3rd row. Of course, our lights just shut off. That's okay. I'm gonna hop in, and maybe I'll turn on this light. So as you can see, In these seats, I'm completely unbothered. I'm not sharing a middle seat with somebody else. I've got my own space and I'm happy. Adjustable armrest is always nice to have, and then we also have USB-Cs built into the backs of the seats ahead of us. On top of that, these seats they don't have one pocket, they've got two. A real leatherette pocket and then a cargo mesh net pocket. The same's true for the passenger side. The passenger side also has access to a USB-C integrated in, 2 air vents, and then a 12-volt outlet at the bottom. In terms of legroom, headroom, and just general space, you've got kind of unlimited shoulder room over here, unless they're not in your way. Tons of legroom because these seats are on a rail, which allows you to adjust them. So you can really give yourself as little or as much legroom as you'd like. Seriously. And then lots of headroom as well too, because the Kia Sorento is such a rectangular body. There's just so much space up here and it doesn't taper downwards too much. Now in terms of the third row, like I said, it's easy to get into it because you do have the buttons at the very top that allow the seat to bend and slide forward. And arguably it would be a lot easier to get into the third row if the seats were already prepared for you, but I forgot to do that. So just give me 1 second. We'll do the one on the left first, and then we'll bring up the one on the right. There we are. Okay, so now that I'm in the back of the Kia Sorento, you can see we are sacrificing a little bit of legroom because this is a higher platform due to the all-wheel drive system. If you are someone with longer legs, you might find yourself a little bit hunched. However, because it is a captain's chairs configuration, you can extend your legs outwards like this and have them sit in the middle of the kind of hallway or aisle between the two captain's chairs up at the front. Headroom-wise, there is still a ton of space in this vehicle, and the seats themselves back here are pretty wide, so again, you're not kind of spilling onto the person next to you. It's pretty comfy. Tim's making faces. Anyway, I did point out what amenities we had back here earlier, but just as a quick recap, we do have USB-Cs on each side, as well as a cup holder and a storage pocket. It's pretty nice if you ask me, and you do have a little bit of window seats too, so you can kind of watch what's happening around you as you are on a road trip. You might want to switch out seats with the people sitting ahead of you though, if it's a very, very long road trip. All right, Tim, anything you'd like to point out?
I think it's just comfortable. Like when you can sit in this vehicle, even for adults or a couple kids and stuff, everyone's comfortable. It's better than an airplane seat.
Charlotte took a road trip with her Kia Sorento, and she had to sit in the very third row for a while, and she said having her legs out in the middle, like the aisle here, was such a lifesaver. Yeah. Because leg fatigue, passenger fatigue, I guess. No one likes being on a super long road trip, especially not in the smallest seat, so there's some ways around it. Makes it feel a lot better, which is quite nice.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I think with that being said, we'll check the comments to see if any of you guys have any questions about the Kia Sorento and do a quick recap.
You got it.
So I guess price recap, $42,995 Canadian. Heeled boots are probably not the best for this, but it's okay. $42,995 Canadian, $4,000 upgrade on this vehicle versus the LX trim below it. You do get the introduced turbocharged engine, which supplies you with a whole lot more horsepower and a whole lot more torque, 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque to be exact. And you're not sacrificing fuel efficiency because this vehicle is rated at 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers. For an all-wheel drive 3-row SUV,
Not a bit.
It's not bad.
No, it's great value.
Yes.
Kim's got almost 24,000 kilometers on hers. Hers is a 2024. And just regular oil changes, alignment. She did get WeatherTechs in hers, and she normally keeps the back seats down, moving stuff from the store. But that's, she's really enjoying it.
Sometimes nerve-wracking when your boss is around when you're working. I wonder if it's the same for Gabi right now. No.
No.
Tim doesn't really bother me much. The only thing that he makes faces while while he's filming, so I'm like looking at.
That's my job. That's my job. Hey, we've got a very good working relationship with everyone within the dealership. And again, this is a real dealership. We sell and service cars. Gabi and Charlotte are part of our media team, but you've seen Michael, you've seen Connor, you've seen Pat Hart, our owner. Everyone's involved with this, so it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Did Paul give us some money?
I don't know.
Oh,
Let's see. Oh my gosh, yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul, very much.
That's wonderful.
Oh
Keeps Gabi in her fancy clothes and and her nice hairstyles.
fancy clothes.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, buddy.
I did see a question that I want to answer, and I'm trying to find it again. Oh, sorry for this many questions. She's probably already covered it thoroughly, but what is the difference in the $10,000 that you get for the X Pro? Ooh, so the X Pro actually offers, the X Pros are very top trim level here in Canada. In the States it might be a bit different, but that is our highest trim. There's a lot that changes. So it still has the same powertrain and the same transmission, but we have beefy all-terrain tires. The wheels go down to a 17-inch alloy. You're also going to get black exterior elements. So the Kia emblem, the Sorento on the back is all going to be done up in black. You get a suede headliner, 360 camera, ventilated seats, heated seats in the rear. Oh my gosh, highway drive assist level 2.
Heavier racks.
Heavier towing capacity. Oh.
Heavier towing capacity.
Yes.
Heavier
And
racks
raised
for the
roof
top.
racks.
Raised roof racks, so you can put bigger toolies on it, things along that line. So we've sold
quite a few. Charlotte's driving one.
Charlotte's driving one now, but we sold a bunch of them. So.
Yes. But yeah, 360 cam. Like there's definitely a lot of tech upgrades as well. There's a Bose premium sound system. You do get the raised roof racks, like Tim said earlier.
Yep.
It's also just a very
duty.
different look to the vehicle. So we'll have X Pro embossed into the seats as well too. Kind of just takes on a more rugged approach towards the Kia Sorento, but still maintaining the style and the comfort functions. Yeah. So there's a lot in that $10,000 price jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just wheels.
Yeah.
What's the towing capacity on this? 5,000 pounds. Is that good? If it is, no. So this trim level has 2,000 pounds. The trim level above will be 3,500, and if you're opting for the X Pro, it's 4,500.
And essentially, that's transmission coolers.
Yes.
Makes a difference. What do we got?
Someone said no questions.
No questions.
Joshua said, which trim is the most worth it? This one. That's why we made this whole video. So the EX certainly gives you some of the best bang for your buck. And it's not just a Sorento thing. If you look at any of our vehicles, oftentimes when there's an EX trim level, that's our volume seller.
Well, I think when you start talking about engine, transmission, wheels, you know, how many people buy a sunroof or a panoramic sunroof and they never open it? You're paying for that. Actually, the weight of the glass, you're also paying for that in fuel economy. That's why we believe this is the best value in the marketplace today.
And as a quick summary, some of the big things that this trim level gets you that the trim level below doesn't have is number one, the engine. The 2.5 turbo makes a huge, huge, huge difference. The transmission too, so the dual clutch is fun and engaging to drive, shifts very, very quickly. The 6-seater configuration is also a must-have for some people. A lot of people really want captain's chairs, and this is going to be your trim to get you to that. Leatherette is another big thing. I know we have some customers who just do not want cloth, so leatherette is a great option. Smart Power Liftgate is another big function as well too, so the ability to automatically open your liftgate from your key fob or just simply walk up to it. There's also a wireless phone charger, heated steering wheel. There's quite a bit, but those are the big ones. The big ones. Okay. Does the sunroof have the same glass material as the windshield? So this trim level does not have a sunroof, but oftentimes our sunroofs will be solar glass, and a lot of times we'll have acoustic laminated solar glass up at the front windshield as well. So.
Good question.
How does this driving experience compare to a Chevy? So I'm going to forward that question over to you because Tim, you have this, but you also have the Chevy HD.
Yep. You know, when we talk about Chevrolet, I think everyone makes a good car today. I think everyone makes a good car. I think it's your buying experience. I think it's your warranty when you're going through service. So if you're comparing this to a Traverse, and I don't know if a
Maybe
Traverse,
like an Equinox.
Equinox got, it looked like it downsized. It's not a Spark.
The Traverse is probably more like a Telluride.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? All these have good value. They're great value. My concern is always warranty and how you treat it in service. So, you know, we all have issues. Sometimes they're worse than others, whether it's trim issues or engine issues. 2.5 turbo is bulletproof. When people talk about turbo engines, is the turbo always running, Gab?
When you're accelerating, when you're...
So when you're accelerating, if you have a foot and you want to get out and pass, that's what a turbo is for.
It's turbo time.
But yeah, turbo time. But when you set back, it's a 2.5 liter engine, 4 cylinders, so it gets very good gas mileage. Now, I don't know if comparison to that to some of the Chevy products.
I will say,
Right?
Chevy's not exactly known for their fuel economy.
No, like the new Blazers, the new Equinox, some of these other vehicles aren't great on fuel, and everyone knows that, so that's okay. But hey, at the same time, people have bought General Motors for the last 50, 60, 70 years, and they don't even come in and look at Kia Hyundai because they just never get it on their list. You'd be surprised when you get to drive these cars.
Brian said, Gabi, please answer the front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive question. So
Yep.
I'm assuming it's this. Oh, hold on. I'm a little bit confused between front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Which one is more better for normal as a normal user, and which one is better front-wheel drive, winter tire or all-wheel with winter tires, as well as fuel efficient? So front-wheel drive is always going to be more fuel efficient than all-wheel drive. That's just simple.
Yeah, but you see the percentages, right? You see
Yeah.
the percentages. So when we're talking about true all-wheel drive, all 4 wheels.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when we mention true all-wheel drive, we're talking like Subaru, which is symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive.
Yep.
Kia's all-wheel drive is always going to be a front-wheel drive bias unless you're otherwise, like the Kia Seltos, for example, you can initiate a 50-50 torque split. So front-wheel drive is always going to be more fuel efficient. When you're talking about an all-wheel drive model like this, it's pretty marginal, the difference though. When it comes down to front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive in comparison to winter tires is really what makes winter driving safe. So winter tires allow you to brake at a safe distance. They'll give you the most...
Slow down.
Yes,
Yeah.
they'll give you the most traction based off whatever kind of winter condition you're in. Something that all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive doesn't really make much of a difference in. All-wheel drive is fantastic for getting you going in the snow because it propels your vehicle better. Front-wheel drive is still good too if you have winter tires. What it really comes down to, do you live in the city where things get plowed very quickly? In that case, front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive doesn't really matter. You'll get along fine with either. If you live in the country and you're driving up a lot of hills with roads that don't get plowed or deeper snow, you might need all-wheel drive.
And you're exactly right. Snow tires make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And hey, years back, people used to use snow tires just on their back wheels because it was rear-wheel drive and you weighted it down, just like Gabi's truck.
Yep.
So the same setup that way, but as technology gets better, as tires get better, as our road conditions, 2 weeks ago, people couldn't move around for 3 days because they never plowed anything.
In real world experience, I have a 4x4 vehicle, which is arguably better than all-wheel drive. Not arguably, it is better than all-wheel drive in terms of conditions. But I didn't have snow tires on it for a little bit. I couldn't go anywhere. My truck was fishtailing all over the place. I couldn't even get on the pretty plowed highway. It was so, so bad. I put winter tires on it, and the thing's an unstoppable machine now. So, really.
That probably has to do with Gabi's bad driver.
No. It probably has to do
no, it's a
with
huge
the fact that
difference.
it's a light truck.
Yeah, and it's light, so.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Yeah, just winter tires, doesn't matter if you get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, you should be okay, but you might want to consider all-wheel drive if the kind of driving you do is geared toward it more. So lots of hills, lots of unpaved surfaces.
I drove in four-wheel high after that snowstorm, just get through some of the roads that hadn't been plowed.
Yeah.
Because that truck's heavy, right?
Yeah.
So we still made it through, but yeah. Great question on snow tires.
I largely take the country roads now instead of the highway just because my fuel efficiency. But one day we had a horrible snowstorm. I saw so many vehicles just like have skid off the road, and I looked at so many of them. They're running their all-season tires.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have all-wheel drive. Just get winter tires, please.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Makes perfect sense.
All right, you guys, that's probably it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now, we hope you tune in to our later video today, 6 p.m. We'll have a video all about dual clutch transmissions and how they operate. And then, of course, we have a couple uploads coming up on the weekend, including our Trunk Talk podcast. Tim, anything you want to say?
Welcome to March. We're finished.
Woo!
February, so January, February gone. Hopefully spring is around the corner. Don't forget to set your clocks back.
No, that's
March
not this
9th?
week. March 9th,
So we're good to go.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
We'll see ya.